everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. I'll be your astrologer this week. Thank you for joining me. Happy Sunday. This is going to be the astro weather for the week of January 19th through the 25th, 2025. We're going to be talking all about the transits using the moon and planning our week ahead. We're also going to be talking about the big conjunction between the Sun and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius and how this week is all about confronting our fears. If you want to see more of my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button below so you're subscribed and you're alerted as to when I have new videos on the channel. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday using tarot and astrology to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and please consider sharing it with other astro fans, and leave me a comment below and let me know, what are you facing this week? Where are you ready for rebirth? And what is Pluto doing in your chart? This is, I think, a rather important transit, and we're going to kind of dive deep into that today. We'll also be talking about where this conjunction is going to be taking place for each and every one of the 12 rising signs. So if you stay tuned to the end, I'll be showing you where this is happening in your chart and how to navigate this fear. All right, well, we got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, if you guys are watching me on the 19th, I talked to you about how Sunday, especially in the later afternoon, kind of going into the evening, it's a rather social energy. So I hope you guys have something fun planned with some of the transits that are kind of taking place. We're going to see some nice air trines kicking off, which is great for socializing, dinner parties, hanging out with friends, going on dates, all that fun stuff. We are going to see a Venus-Saturn conjunction. It has actually been kind of playing out the last day or so, and you guys are also feeling that this Sunday. So that's going to be really giving us some food for thought when it comes to relationships. You know, some of you guys might be issuing new boundaries when it comes to personal relationships or romantic relationships, committing more seriously to who and what you love, being a little bit more conservative with your spending habits, with your resources. But honestly, Venus in Pisces is a pretty kind of vibey transit. So I think the conjunction to Saturn is just going to have us feeling a little bit more sentimental and a little bit more emotional. Great for sound business decisions, you know, long-term goals when it comes to finances, investments, self-esteem, and relationship planning. Now, like I said, we're going to be facing our fears with that Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. This is now the first conjunction now that Pluto is in Aquarius to stay. I'm going to dive deep into that, but we know that the Sun is going to represent power. It's about ego. It's about also shining a light in the dark. So all of you guys want to grab your flashlights this week. You want to be willing to, you know, shine a light on something that might be a little challenging, but it's going to give you some insight as to what we're going to be working through for the better part of the next 20 years with Pluto in this sign. I'm predicting a fork in the road for some of us because we are going to be seeing Mercury kind of going through its obstacle course. I think this is important and honestly kind of fun now to watch another planet a little bit more closely. With the South Node in Virgo, we are clearing out, we are cleansing, detoxing, organizing, and letting go of the need to be perfect. Finding the perfect words, looking perfect, being, you know, a certain way, and we're releasing this feeling of needing to be so self-critical. Remember, the North Node's in Pisces, so we have to feel our way into things, and well, life's a little messy. So when we see Mercury doing some of the things that it's going to do this week, we're going to be at a fork in the road. And the reason why I say that is because there's going to be a transit. We're going to see Mercury in Capricorn, trine Uranus in Taurus, which honestly, I feel like this helps us innovate and get out of the box and come up with new ideas, especially when it comes to money, resources, self-esteem, values. Uranus is a planet of change, and Mercury wants to kind of communicate that. Versus at the same time, we are going to see Mercury make an opposition to Mars retrograde in Cancer. We've seen several oppositions. Obviously, you know, Venus did her thing. We also saw the Sun make its opposition, and now we've got Mercury making the opposition. And oppositions are challenges. So with Mercury, god of communication, in opposition to Mars, god of war, well, it can have us a little in our feelings, a little reactionary, unwilling to respond to authority figures, and honestly a little passive aggressive. So it's up to you if you're going to get out of the box or if you're going to kind of fight back. And Mercury, you know, I think can be really beneficial in the sign of Capricorn. It can really help us pick our battles. It can be great for business. It could be for long-term plans as well. So it's about really kind of committing to a long-lasting change. You know, this whole Mars retrograde in Cancer cycle started while the North Node was in Aries. So it was kind of reminding us that we needed to go back into the past and we needed to emotionally clear house before we move forward with some new goals. So this is where we kind of shake some of those old ideas loose, and we allow ourselves to have a little bit more freedom and innovation. Venus will be moving and closed between Saturn and Neptune this week. So I haven't really heard a lot of other astrologers talking about this. Obviously, we've got like a Pisces party in the sky, North Node, Neptune, Venus, Saturn, all hanging out in Pisces. But Venus deals with beauty, love, money, and she's kind of feeling off of what's going on with Jupiter, which is still retrograde. So I think kind of like with Venus stuck between Saturn, Lord of Karma, boundaries, restrictions, limitation, in a sign that deals with isolation. And then on the other side of that, we're going to see Neptune. I think that for some of us, it can be very inspirational, very romantic, very creative. But for others, it can be kind of feeling like we're in a fishbowl and it's hard for us to kind of see clearly in regards to what is real, especially in regards to matters of love or money. So be mindful that as we're approaching the end of this month, Venus is getting ready to come into shadow. That won't be closer till the 27th, but still, you know, that conjunction to Neptune, just beware of scams, getting kind of catfished. Maybe some things are going to be looking too good to be true. And we're going to be kind of working through that over the next couple of weeks. The week is going to finish off with Venus in Pisces trine Mars in Cancer, and I feel like that's a sweet ending to this week. We're going to find that it's going to help us be more compassionate, more romantic, indulging in our emotions, and honestly, relationships can move forward a little bit more smoothly with that aspect. So it's very watery. A lot of you guys are going to be feeling very sentimental, very emotional, still reflecting on the past with that Mars retrograde. But I feel like there could be some romance in the air towards the end of the week with some of these aspects. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, we're going to talk all about Pluto and Aquarius. And I have not hung out with Mr. Robert Hand for a little while. So I'm going to read to you guys from planets in transit. People are always asking me about my book list. So if you click the link in the description below, you're going to see a link that says book list. I have all of the books that I use on the channel, stuff that I recommend for beginners, astrology students, and all kinds of other goodies that are in there if you're looking for things other than books. Anyway, so let's read what Robert Hand has to say about the transit of the Sun conjunct Pluto. This transit can have a variety of effects, but in general, it indicates an intense experience that do not allow you to stay at the level of surface manifestations. You will really have to get involved in whatever you do today, and the results will be quite powerful. Pluto relates to forces underlying all experience or leading to the fundamental evolutionary changes from within. The power of these changes produce the major occurrences in the world: growth, evolution, decay, and death, as well as rebirth and regeneration. Because this is not a major long-term transit, you're not likely to encounter any of these effects on a terribly profound level, but rather they occur in day-to-day life. At a practical level, you may be concerned with repairing something that has broken down, such as an automobile or an appliance, or you may have to deal with a situation that has broken down to the point where it must change radically in order to continue, even along completely new lines. You may have to contend with a person who is trying to exert unreasonable power over you, forcing you to defend your right to do things your way. The person may feel like he or she is doing it for your own good, but that's not usually the case. True Plutonian energy does not manifest itself through someone's ego drives. It's transpersonal flow of creative or destructive energy. Under rare circumstances, you may come into contact with someone who embodies the Plutonian energies within society, such as a person of power or someone who represents hidden elements or change or decay. And such a person living in poverty, a tramp, a criminal, or someone who is associated with radical movement for social change. Avoid contact with criminals and do not go into areas where you're likely to encounter street crime. Under this transit, it is just possible that you may have an unfortunate encounter. Obviously, this conjunction is going to be happening at 1 degree of Aquarius. So if you have anything 0 to about 3 degrees of Aquarius, be mindful that this is going to be a little bit more prominent for you. equally the early degrees of the fixed signs. So I'm talking to my Tauruses, my Leos, and my Scorpios. If you guys have any planets there, you're going to feel the square or the opposition. But, you know, I feel like you hear a lot of scary stuff about Pluto transits or Pluto conjunctions. I feel like I always say this, being a natal like Sun Pluto myself, I always feel the need to kind of like speak on behalf of this particular transit, because I think it can be really profound if you're knowing what to look for. I've always noticed people who have some of these placements, hard Pluto contacts with the sun, they're always going through this constant rebirth, always shedding skin every so many years. They're going to have like a different lifetime, or so many different lifetimes within one. They know how to spot a scam or a crime. They're always kind of aware of what's going on. They can read between the lines, and they can kind of feel when the vibes are off. And they can also use that power in a negative way that can be, you know, destructive to themselves and other people, as well as to manipulate and control things. So I think part of the challenge with the Sun Pluto is that this is almost that transit where you're definitely going to have an experience where you're going to see the darker side of the collective, especially in Aquarius, or technology, or the internet, or abuses of power. But you also see the opportunity for there to be this purging and purification, to bring all of that stuff that's kind of the muck that's been under the surface up to be seen. We want to shine a light on it because the sun is conjunct Pluto. So it's going to be something that everybody is going to be seeing. Obviously, we know, you know, I live here in the United States. On Monday, we're going to be having the inauguration of President Trump. So I think that that's just pretty spot on. I mean, we do have the inauguration every time there is a new president coming in at the same time, in the same place. It's always at noon in Washington, D.C. And it's interesting because as I'm filming this right now, the news just came out that they're actually moving him and the inauguration inside due to the cold. Okay, so Pluto is in a Saturn-based sign. Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius, and this is the dead of winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. And boy, it is going to be cold. So I was kind of thinking about this when I was writing this. I could see some people going this week, like, you know, in terms of certain situations in their life, like, yeah, snowball's chance in hell of that happening, but you guys might actually see some snowballs in the midst of what might be some hellish transits. Anyway, so, you know, that's so interesting to me that we're going to see a transit where, you know, the collective is going to see some person kind of coming into power. And that corresponding with the inauguration chart is an indication that it's giving us scenes or sneak peeks of what's going to be happening throughout this Pluto and Aquarius transit. As we all know, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and who is it, Zuckerberg, they're all supposedly going to be there. So it's just like you've got some major power players in the tech world that are going to be present for this ceremony. So it's kind of interesting. And I'm curious to see what happens throughout the next week, because outside of that situation, I think we're going to see major changes in regards to power, leaders and authority figures. It might also be like large companies and CEOs. And obviously the sun is going to be exposing darker things that can be kind of about crime and corruption and abuses of power. But what does it mean for you? Well, the Sun-Pluto conjunction is a transit that's going to be kind of hanging around for about a day or two, and it's highlighting themes of transformation and change. In a nutshell, Pluto is associated with deep transformation, rebirth, and uncovering hidden truth. So when it conjuncts the sun, it's going to represent that our core identity and vitality is being amplified, revolving around themes of deep personal or collective change. Okay, that's simple. So look at what house it's taking place in. You're going to realize, whoa, there is something significantly changing in this area of my life. It's all about innovation and revolution. I think because Aquarius is a sign of innovation. It's about technology. It's also about humanitarianism. We're going to hear more talk also about equality. And I think this conjunction is really pushing these themes to the forefront and emphasizing radical change, especially when it comes to society at large or technology. Now, watch for themes in your own life revolving around power dynamics. That's a huge theme with Pluto. Sun conjunct Pluto is basically going to be saying, okay, you know, are we having to deal with themes like abuse of power, control, manipulation, tyrants? This is definitely a theme with this conjunction. And I think in Aquarius, it could manifest as shifts in power structures, potentially leading to movements towards decriminalization or conversely power struggles in tech or information sectors. So we'll see how that kind of unfolds over time, but definitely there's going to be themes of that kind of coming up. Now, in terms of global matters, I think with global consciousness, because Aquarius is all about the collective, we're going to see that this transit might heighten awareness of global issues or foster a sense of unity for common causes. Watch for themes like technological breakthroughs, power shifts, economic changes. These things can happen as well, especially economic changes, because there's usually a push towards more economic systems, or at least discussions around this, possibly affecting cryptocurrencies and global finance. That's what I am predicting. Obviously when I say power shifts, old persons of power are being challenged by new ideas, and we're going to be seeing unexpected leaders that are going to be emerging. And I'm curious to see how this manifests. Now, for you guys personally, what you want to watch for is self-realization, because on a personal level, this transit can lead to profound self-discovery where you might be confronting or shedding old parts of yourselves that no longer serve your growth. Now, it does bring up intensity in relationships. Obviously, Aquarius is about our networks, it's our friends, it's the collective community, people we know online. So relationships can undergo significant changes, or they can deepen as Pluto's influence can bring hidden dynamics to light, urging for truth and transformation. Now, if you want a total transformation when it comes to your career or your life path, that might happen for some people depending on the aspects in your chart. I do think we're going to see a surge in the need to align our career and our personal values, particularly those that resonate with Aquarian ideas like innovation or freedom or community service. But as always, Pluto always presents us with a challenge or a crisis, even if it's something that's going on for a 48-hour period. Pluto transits are not easy, and they're often, bringing challenges or crisis that might bring about some kind of personal evolution. So I think it's all about facing power struggles head on, dealing with control issues personally in relationships, kind of shining a light on the monster in the closet. And Pluto ultimately is not really doing this to be a bad guy. Pluto comes through because he's also the energy of the phoenix, as both of these things are associated with Scorpio. So it's about this transformative energy that is bringing about an opportunity for healing, especially deep-seated issues, things we don't want to talk about, traumas, fears, stuff that we kind of keep secret. And it's going to somehow kind of connect to that awareness is going to be bringing about some personal freedom or changes within society. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do you work with this transit? Well, you guys can definitely have your flashlights handy with the conjunction date that it's going on. I think that this is all about moving with the energy, not going against it and not resisting it because it's in a fixed sign. And also creating time for self-reflection. Saturn is the traditional ruler connected to Aquarius, and Saturn is kind of nestled up with Venus. So there can be a lot of time that we need to take for deep introspection. And the sun representing kind of identity and Pluto's transformation, you might be kind of journaling on, okay, what am I wanting to kind of change in this area of my life? Where do you feel stuck? What are you fearful of? And what fears are holding you back? And what do they say about your identity or your past? Okay, this is super helpful as a Sun-Pluto. I do this all the time. It's a great exercise when you're going through a Sun-Pluto transit. And it can really help you become more aware of where you're getting in your own way. Now, this is also about accepting change. Like I said, don't push back, move with the energies, understand that fear often stems from resistance to change. So this transit provides an opportunity to embrace transformation, and I would view any upheaval that comes about as a chance to evolve. Now, we want to confront our fears. Maybe that means we're doing gradual exposure to this thing that we're afraid of. Instead of trying to conquer all of our fears at once, tackle them one by one. And if you're afraid of, let's say, like public speaking, for instance, start by speaking to a smaller supportive group and then building up from there. Literally make a list of the things that you're afraid of and kind of start working through that list one by one. Try to do one thing during this particular transit that scares you and kind of getting outside of your comfort zone. Now, Pluto is all about shadow work. So this is where we deal with the shadow self and things that we repress. So if you're engaging in shadow work this week, by acknowledging and integrating these aspects through therapy, counseling, workshops, anything like that can be really beneficial at this time. I like to use visualization exercises with Pluto, especially now that Pluto is in an air sign. I feel like if you really want to tap into your own personal power, you might want to imagine scenarios where you successfully deal with what frightens you. And this can help you reprogram your response, from fear to courage. Harness the Aquarius energy by working with groups, connect to your community, focus on thinking outside of the box. And I feel like this is going to be about unconventional methods to kind of overcoming fear. Maybe there's like a tech tool or a new approach that can help you manage and face your fears in ways that you haven't considered before. Set clear intentions, because during this transit, it's all about overcoming a specific fear. So if you write them down, then, if you're working with this up until the time that we're coming up to the new lunation, you can actually see that this can bring some really significant new beginnings. Definitely take action, because Pluto is about action. It's not necessarily about thought. So once you identify your fears, you take deliberate steps towards confronting them. And I feel like this is going to be different for everybody. And it might just be a moment of awareness, or you have an epiphany, or you're confronted with some kind of challenge. But keep an eye out for those power dynamics. There can be things that can challenge you in ways that you are not prepared for. So be mindful not to give your power away. Take note of where you might be controlling others out of fear. And this transit can definitely highlight these dynamics, offering you a chance to reclaim your personal power. Take time for rest and recuperation, because Pluto transits are often very draining. Ensure you have time for self-care, relaxation, and recovery. The transformation process isn't just about facing your fears, but integrating and healing from the encounters that you have. Physical activity can be really helpful during this time, and a great way to move through fear and release any pent-up energy. So activities like martial arts or yoga can really help you manage the stress when we're seeing any aspects to Pluto. But you know what? This week, we just have to celebrate the small wins. I feel like every step forward that we take in facing our fears is going to feel like a victory. So you have to give yourself a pat on the back for the things that you do overcome, even if it's the smallest thing. Acknowledge and celebrate these moments to reinforce positive behavior. And obviously, we are going to be looking at this transit as a part of a 20-year journey. So it just started now that Pluto is back in Aquarius for the better part of the next 20 years. We have lots of time to grow into this area in our chart. And the lessons that you're learning will benefit you beyond this astrological event. Okay? All right, so let's get into the week ahead. We're going to start with Sunday the 19th, 2025. If you guys are watching this on Sunday and you're my Sunday crew, happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a good one. Last night we had that 29-degree moon and 29-degree Capricorn sun. So quite a few of 29s kind of coming up. There's big completions and conclusions that are kind of happening as the sun is actually getting ready to leave Capricorn, getting ready to move into Aquarius. So as that's happening, you're going to be feeling the conjunction to Pluto as of tonight. It's really kind of in motion between now and Wednesday. But the moon is in Libra when we wake up early in the morning, which obviously is putting an emphasis on beauty, partnerships, relationships, being with other people. And you're going to see throughout the moon in Libra transit, Venus is nestled up next to Saturn. So she's actually been in conjunction since yesterday, Saturday night. Might have seemed like a little bit more of like a serious or kind of like somber vibe. But now with Venus conjunct Saturn and the moon in Libra, it's like, okay, what are we willing to do to help those that we love? What are we willing to sacrifice, give up, things like that? And Venus and Saturn are actually conjuncting around 16 degrees. So that's a Cancer degree. So it can be about our family. It can be about our physical home or kind of dwelling spaces. It can be about past emotional connections with people, because the moon is kind of connected to the past. So that's still kind of coming up. I think some people might feel like they're hitting like a roadblock when it comes to relationships or money or, love of some kind. There's a lot of having to issue, new boundaries with relationships, redefining relationships, or some people feeling like they've reached the end of the road. So it's not uncommon when we see Venus-Saturn transits that there is some kind of shift that's happening in relationships. And it's like you either grow or, some relationships that won't stand the test will break apart. Obviously, Venus and Saturn are in a sign that deals with dissolving. So there might have been some relationship drama on Saturday night going into Sunday, and you're waking up with this kind of clearing now that the moon has left the conjunction to the south node. Good news is that as the moon goes through Libra, it's going to be coming into a trine with Pluto. So it's empowering, it's transforming. It's also going to be about focusing on our future goals, our future relationships, networks, socializing. And we will also see the moon come into a trine with Jupiter. So I'm actually kind of feeling like I said, later today, there is some really great socializing opportunities. And I think you're going to see this more when the sun's in Aquarius in the PM hours. So if you don't have plans tonight, having dinner with friends, you know, going out and doing something with your partner, going on a date, something like that can actually be really wonderful with this air trine that's kind of popping up. Now, the moon trine Jupiter makes us feel more joyful. It definitely brings us more positive things, more growth, more abundance, and it's in a sign of communication. So we can really lean into communication in relationships. We can plan trips, we can kind of connect better, and we can obviously, like I said, be a little bit more optimistic. So I'm really liking later in the day on Sunday. Now, what you're going to see is that then the sun moves into Aquarius and Aquarius season begins. So if you guys are having your birthday this week, happy birthday. I do feel like it's always interesting to watch a planet hit 0 degrees because it's going to be showing you like the most pure form of that sign. So obviously this is kind of happening on Sunday. So there is definitely lots of change on the horizon. You know, the collective is kind of thinking about what's coming next, what's going to happen. When it comes to, I think leadership, I mean, the sun really kind of deals with that. Not much else is going to be happening throughout Sunday. It really kind of completes on a high note. And then we get into Monday. And there is definitely going to be some difficult aspects that will be taking place on Monday morning, really throughout Monday in general. So for starters, we wake up on Monday, moon is still in Libra. We're still keeping an eye on Venus, which is now between Saturn and Neptune. And like I said, for me, this is kind of like a planet that's enclosed. So think of like Venus being put in a cell. She's like literally, you know, Pisces being put in a fishbowl, in a cell, in hiding, like she's confined in some way. Between limitations, and also Neptune can be about some kind of confusion. So it does represent things that are going on behind closed doors, things that are hidden, stuff happening in our subconscious, stuff that's going on in our dreams, things that are being kind of kept from us in some way. Now, all day Monday, the moon is going to come into some particularly difficult aspects. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see that the moon is going to come into a square with Mercury and Capricorn. So while we're all on the vibe of moon's in Libra, we want to support people, we want to be with partners, we want to be focusing on relationships, we're thinking about how we can kind of connect with others or give services or do deals. This is not a good communication aspect, okay? And remember, Mercury rules the South Node. So there is some sense of wanting to be with partners, but they're like, I'm busy, I'm working, I can't call you back, I don't have time right now. Like, it's kind of like relationships are getting a little jumbled because our mind is more focused on responsibility, goals, planning, productivity. So it can kind of hinder our ability to see those who we love, communicate with them well. There can also be a sense of kind of feeling like, okay, well, where does my energy go? Is it going to go towards supporting others, or do I need to really kind of focus on like work and responsibilities like that? So you're not really looking at a good communication day on Monday. Right after that square happens, then you're going to start seeing the moon coming into an opposition with Chiron. So this is going to be by midday. Moon in opposition to Chiron means, okay, well, we're more sensitive, more aware of our wounds. We're feeling some kind of rejection, or there's something that's kind of coming up where maybe we're sick or we're wounded, or, you know, there's some insecurity that's coming up that's being highlighted through relationships. Okay, so remember, it was also squaring Mercury. So maybe you're trying to connect with somebody and talk to them about how you're feeling, and they just treat you like they don't have time, you know, or maybe somebody's trying to talk to you about some of their problems or concerns, and you're like, I don't have time for this. So definitely some tricky communication. You know, the moon in opposition to Chiron kind of represents that until we deal with our own issues, our own wounds, or accept or take responsibility for our part. It's going to be hard to be able to kind of meet somebody else in the middle. And yeah, meetings Monday, communications Monday, signing things Monday, don't. It's things are not going to go well. It's going to definitely hit some roadblocks. We will also see on Monday that then the moon will finish up its transit by coming into a square with Mars. So if you want to get technical, there is a grand cardinal cross that's kind of going on involving the moon. And so now we've got the moon that's going to come into a square with Mars. Obviously, the dispositor of the Mars in Cancer transit is the moon. So when we see the moon then square Mars, there is going to be a little bit of like combativeness here, okay? And this is in the PM hours. Relationships are maybe trying to evolve. We're trying to connect with people, but we are consumed with the past, Mars retrograde in Cancer, where we were angry, grudges we've had, frustrations with home, frustrations with family. Something like that is kind of brewing. And so, you know, this is still within range of squaring Chiron and Mercury as well. So you're going to feel that square pretty much all day long. And then the perfection of Mercury square Chiron is also going to be coming in as well. And it's just getting highlighted throughout this transit. So where the mind is more focused on responsibility, you know, being a little bit more militant, a little bit more serious, a little bit more conservative. And this is where like you're more likely to have parents, bosses, elders, people who are kind of criticizing you or giving you like a hard time about something. And so there can definitely be a lot of friction on Monday. Obviously, the sun is also approaching its conjunction to Pluto. That will be perfecting on Tuesday morning, but it's going to be in the skies pretty much all day long. Now, once we get out of the Mars square with the moon in the late PM hours on Monday the 20th, this is going to take us into Tuesday the 21st. And when we wake up first thing in the morning, we are seeing the Sun-Pluto conjunction taking place, okay? So sometimes a conjunction happens or a hard aspect happens and nothing happens immediately. Like I'm an astrologer that says, hey, where is the moon? The moon is going to be the trigger for events. We need to see things going on more than one way. So where things spell trouble for me is that the Mercury Chiron square is still in effect. So that's about communication breakdown and issues where we're feeling wounded. The Sun-Pluto conjunction is now happening first thing in the morning on Tuesday, which is like radical changes in regards to power. And then we see the moon that's going to leave Libra and it's going to go into Scorpio. Okay, so this is going to happen around midday. And when the moon goes into Scorpio, we are always looking at Pluto and we are always looking at Mars. All right, so here's what's going to happen. Moon is going to square the sun, which, you know, this is the last quarter square as we're getting ready to come into what will be the new moon in Aquarius later in the month. This is kind of where things start breaking down and we start seeing stuff get flushed out and we are kind of finally trying to kind of do away with something or, you know, declutter or clear or deal with some kind of like crisis. We're focusing on getting ready for that new moon where we can start fresh. But we know that when the moon is in Scorpio, people can be a little on edge. People can be a little bit more defensive. There can be more themes revolving around crime, corruption. The darker side of life definitely comes up. So it's fascinating to me that we have a Sun-Pluto conjunction while the moon is squaring, and we're also going to have the moon in Scorpio. Holy smokes, Tuesday is an intense day. Now, the moon squaring Pluto, on the other hand, represents this deep emotional kind of shift. It can be an emotional purge. It can be pressure revolving around our home, our family, our emotions. And the moon is pushing on Sun, Pluto to kind of come out with some of this stuff. Interesting. And when the moon is in Scorpio, we also have a connection to Mars because they are basically saying the same thing. We've got Mars in a lunar sign and we've got the moon in a Martian sign. So this is what we would consider mutual reception. So they're both kind of agitated to me. There is a sense of being like, okay, we know we need to make a change, but you know, what have we not cleared up in the past? What are we still clinging on to? Where are we afraid to make these changes, right? So we'll see the square happen. We see the Sun conjunct Pluto happen in Aquarius. My goodness, Tuesday afternoon is so freaking intense. And it's going to kind of hang around from the late morning until the moon comes out of this square with the sun, which won't be happening until around dinner time. So midday all the way until about dinner, it's going to be a little tense there. I want to read to you guys the Sabian symbol really quick because the conjunction is going to be at 1 degrees and change. And this is interesting. Aquarius 2, an unexpected thunderstorm. The keyword is accident. The theme is the probability of the improbable. The symbol speaks to the potential and the fact that there are some things in life that individuals simply cannot control. It also speaks to the natural inclination of all situations to eventually climax in one form or another. The image of an unexpected thunderstorm emphasizes the necessity of each individual develop a sensitivity to changing conditions and be consciously aware and responsible for his own role in the scheme of things. There are no accidents. Implicit in this symbol is the inclination that people of crisis to come together for mutual support. On a practical level, the symbol can indicate a buildup of tension that results in an unexpected drama or plans washing out. It can indicate a crisis in some situation or relationship that results in catharsis or cleansing. At its highest, it represents the ability to take charge in a confusing and highly charged situation and bring things to an orderly and profitable conclusion. Watch for emotional outbursts, temper tantrums, and troublemaking. The accent is on surprises and unexpected events. Things might not turn out the way you planned. Situations could reach a boiling point and emotions are running high. Your greatest advantage lies in making the best of it. Remind yourself this too shall pass. Work with others and do what needs to be done. It's going to be a day. I can tell you that. I mean, I think the lunar transits are what's really kind of setting this off. And we are watching now another opposition that's going to be kind of building into an opposition with Mars. So 21st is when it really starts to kind of build up. As the day continues, you're going to see the moon keep going through Scorpio. Nothing really is happening until we get into Wednesday, the 22nd. And the good news is that things start to kind of calm down a little bit on Wednesday. That moon's still going through Scorpio, okay? And you're going to see a couple aspects that the moon is going to make that I think can be beneficial, but still it does not take away from a moon in Scorpio transit, where there is definitely a lot of, needing to kind of confront the crap that's kind of coming up in our lives. The first aspect that the moon is going to be making is it's going to start coming into a trine with Saturn and Venus, which I think is really beneficial. Okay, so this is going to be happening later in the day, closer to around dinner time. And the moon is going to pick up a trine to Saturn. So this is where we're adjusting to some of the changes, the shocks and the surprises. We're being a little bit more emotionally mindful, better with home and boundaries, anything in regards to emotional boundaries, and also financial decisions. Moon, when it's in Scorpio, can definitely talk about there being some kind of crisis or shocks and surprises in regards to finances, especially debt, loans, investments, that kind of stuff. And then we will see the moon come into a trine with Venus. So moon is in Scorpio, on Wednesday night, but I do feel like this is where we're kind of stabilizing after what's felt like probably a pretty hectic couple days. And then overnight into the morning, we are then going to see the moon coming into a trine with Neptune and Venus. So that'll happen really early morning on Thursday, the 23rd. And then the moon will come into a trine with Neptune. Guys, Thursday, put a marker on Thursday. This is going to be a day that's going to send you for a loop-de-loop. This is where you have that kind of fork in the road. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. So we wake up in the morning on Thursday, and the moon is trining Venus and Neptune. So we can forgive, we can heal, we can be compassionate. Great day for therapy, great day for art therapy, great day for music. Could be a very romantic day as well, because we're going to see the moon that's going to be making a trine to Mars. So maybe that's the case first thing in the morning. I'm liking the water trines because I do feel like it's going to help us tap into our inner emotions, and it's going to teach us about vulnerability. That's really all that I can say about the moon in Scorpio. Trining a Mars retrograde. And then we're going to see the moon come into a sextile first thing in the morning with Mercury, okay, at a 22. So it's like, here's the problem. What are we going to do about it? Okay, this is how I've been feeling. This is the crisis. And then Mercury and Capricorn's like, okay, I'm going to handle the situation. So here's where you're coming to the fork in the road. We are going to see towards the end of this lunar transit, Mercury will come into an opposition with Mars. And this is that like, don't tell me what to do vibe. Mercury in Capricorn is like the boss, the teacher, it's the police officer, the public servant, the judge, somebody who's like, this is how it's going to go. This is what's going to happen. And the opposition to Mercury, excuse me, from Mercury to Mars, and Mars retrograde is like crabby. It's like, don't tell me what to do. I'm feeling defensive. Don't tell me to leave my home. You know, like this is my space. I'm defending my space. And Mercury in Capricorn could be a public announcement. It's at 23, where it's like, guys, you know, if you've heard anything about what's been going on back and forth in the last couple of years in the United States, I'm anticipating the 22nd and the 23rd is when they are really being like, we are carrying out mass deportation, like orders. Like you guys are likely going to see this. Because Mercury is in opposition to Mars, so it's making a statement and reinforcing something about reworking something in regards to the homeland. And also Mars is retrograde, so it's kind of losing power and momentum. It's not able to maintain its own, and it might be about going back home or going somewhere that is where people stem from. And this is all feeding off of Saturn, which is in Pisces, and Saturn does deal with boundaries, and Pisces is about immigration, and Venus and Neptune are there as well. So I do think that this is when we start hearing the marching orders. That's like, yep, this is what we're doing, and this is the changes that we're making, and this is like, it's happening now. All at the same time, the moon is going to oppose Uranus. So the moon opposed Uranus in its own right is kind of like the case. Scorpio moon's getting startled because there is some rock and roll going on with the financial systems or with the markets or with the banks. Usually the moon in Scorpio is not a good indication that it's like a positive upward swing. Neither is Venus nestled up with Saturn. So we've got an opposition here, which is emotionally reacting strongly to change or shifts going on with a physical environment or a financial environment. And then we've got Mars in opposition to Mercury, where it's being told what to do and it doesn't like that. And then we've got a 23, we'll see a 23 here, a 23 here. 23 is where the wheels fall off. And it's like suddenly there is some like shocking, surprising thing that's just picking up speed and momentum very quick. The positive, if you guys want to get out of some of this oppositional like BS that can feel very chaotic, is you lean into Mercury trine Uranus. You lean into Mercury sextile the moon. Moon in Scorpio. Okay, this has to change. This isn't working. This is bothering me. We got to get to the core of the issue. What's the problem? Let's talk about it. Let's be about solutions. Mercury trine Uranus. Okay, this is the change that's being made. We all need to kind of get the show on the road with this change. Physical, financial, you know, self-esteem, spending, purchasing, habit, whatever. Or you're going to fall into the trap of Mercury opposed Mars. And likely the statements and the comments and the things that are made are either going to wildly excite the financial markets or it's going to deflate them. I'm not as optimistic about it being a positive swing. Maybe, you know, usually Mercury trine Uranus can mean literally when it comes to digital money, Uranus, there is a statement or something that's made that can, you know, surprise people. But Uranus is not direct yet. So I'm kind of curious about how that's going to play out. And then with Mars sextile Uranus, it means that, you know, if we're willing to review or go back or make changes in regards to the past, we can stabilize ourselves more. We can have more security. We can have better health and self-esteem and that kind of stuff. And, you know, Mercury is strongly tied to health, by the way. With the South Node in Virgo, when Mercury makes aspects, likely this is going to be a big announcement around the 23rd. That's going to be food and drug. Maybe some announcement that's going to impact food retailers. Maybe it's going to be impacting restaurants. Maybe it's going to be impacting things involving cattle, right? Because Uranus is in Taurus, so it might be something along those lines. But it's going to probably be a pretty big announcement. So you guys heard probably in like the last week, they're like banning red food dye, right? They're like trying to completely get rid of cigarettes and nicotine. And obviously Mercury is kind of like a stimulant. So is Uranus. So I'm wondering, like, is it going to be about tobacco or is this going to be more about food? But I'm anticipating that on the 23rd. Okay. Lots of stuff going on the 23rd. It feels like an obstacle course, to be really honest with you. All right. So then this is going to take us throughout the rest of the day. It looks like the moon is going to peak into Sagittarius really late at night on Thursday. And then we are going to wake up on Friday with a moon in Sag. Honestly, Friday is like you can take a breath. Things are going to kind of calm down a little bit on Friday. I think waking up with the moon in Sagittarius and the sextiles that we're seeing to Pluto and also the sun. Look, we're open to change. There is some maybe new positive, exciting news, new communications, new things that are happening globally. Maybe we're more focused on education or travel. And we're going to see the moon make an opposition to Jupiter. Pretty much the only thing you're going to see. Early morning, we see the sextile here. But Friday is a little bit more relaxed. So the moon's going to keep moving. It looks like it will kind of be until the afternoon in a sextile with Pluto and the sun. And then in the evening hours is when you're going to see moon in opposition to Jupiter at 11. I wonder if this is going to be more about international headlines, news revolving around, you know, changes with laws, especially in regards to communication, media, things revolving around news. You know, I'm anticipating a lot of people are going to be making comments about some of the changes maybe that are happening in the United States, or we're going to see people who are going to be walking back statements and things that they have said, especially in concerns in connection to like the media. That's pretty much the only thing that you're going to see on Friday night. But Friday is a much more, I think, reasonable day. All right, we get into Saturday the 25th, and that moon is still in Sagittarius. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is a little tricky, okay? Because you're going to see a number of squares that are going to be happening involving the moon Saturday and Sunday. Now that we have the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, when we're dealing with the moon in mutable signs, the moon will be squaring its own nodes, which means that there are fateful things that can kind of happen. Positive is that the moon is still in Sagittarius. What's difficult is first thing in the morning, if you're up early, you're going to feel the moon square Saturn. And that's just like emotional blockages, a difficulty, you know, emotionally relating to people. Maybe we're going to see some really extreme weather. Maybe there's going to be some issues. Obviously, Saturn is cold. Warnings revolving around ice can be happening. We can also see some more storms coming in. And the moon square Saturn means that there is some need to kind of take a step back, right? We already got overstimulated the night before on Friday with the moon Jupiter, and now with the moon coming into a square Saturn, it's like, I don't know if I want to communicate, connect, share. There is some hesitation, all right? And then we're going to see the moon come into yet another square, and this is going to be with Venus, and this is going to be happening in the afternoon. So when the moon squares Venus, things aren't hitting the spot, things that maybe we thought that we would like, that maybe we've purchased or that we thought we wanted to eat. It could also mean that there is some kind of conflict revolving around our emotions and our relationships, and that something is not meshing. And then we will continue to see the moon move through Sagittarius, and it's going to start coming into a square with Neptune in the PM hours. And overnight on Saturday, it's going to square the north and south node. So probably Saturday into Sunday, we're going to see some continuation of some really extreme weather. The mutable signs always bring that. And then on Sunday, the 26th, we wake up early in the morning. The moon is square Neptune and the moon is square the nodes. Sunday morning is a time that you're going to want to watch because whenever we see now a mutable moon square the north and the south node, we need to see what's going on with Mercury. We need to see what's going on with Jupiter. Well, Jupiter's still retrograde. Mercury is getting close to Pluto. And when we see the moon square Neptune, you know, maybe we're sleeping in a little bit. We're a little kind of dazed and confused Sunday morning. We're feeling a little exhausted. Maybe we're confused revolving around the path forward. You know, we're kind of having some doubts. And then the moon will square the north and the south node. So fateful things happening in the world and also in our own lives on Sunday morning. If you're up that early, if you're up after like 7 a.m. Central Time, you will wake up to the moon in Capricorn. And the truth is like Sunday, Monday, we're probably going to be seeing some people who are going to be in a bit of a mood. We are coming into a dark moon now on Sunday the 26th with the moon in Capricorn. We know that the moon is challenged here because it's going through a Saturn sign. And when the moon's in Capricorn, usually we're more focused on work, responsibility, long-term goals, you know, getting stuff done, doing the food prep, communicating with people about, you know, conferences and meetings and things that we have to have. So would not surprise me if we see people, you know, actually doing some work on Sunday night. We are going to see the moon in Capricorn is reflecting off of Saturn, which is still conjunct Venus pretty much all week. And it's also direct. So not much is going to be happening other than that. There's no real aspects. So to be honest with you, like the more calm days of the week are going to be Friday and Sunday. And as the moon continues its trek through Capricorn throughout the day, the only real aspect it's going to make is it's going to start coming into an inconjunct with Jupiter. That's pretty much it. It's not sextiling Saturn yet. You'll see that on Monday. It's not making any other aspects. So you might feel like there's things you want to get done maybe on the Sunday the 26th. But when I look at Mercury, which is yet to hit Pluto, when I look at the moon coming into the dark phase, we are closing things out. We are getting quiet. We are reflecting. There is so much Saturn energy at the end of this week in the skies with a Capricorn moon, Sun, Pluto, and Mercury in Saturn signs, Venus conjunct Saturn. Guys, things feel heavy. Things feel frigid. Things feel like they're getting blocked. I mean, we're going to feel like things are going to kind of slow down or that we're kind of going through the sludge. So take your time, stay warm. Know that when we come into what will inevitably be the new moon in Aquarius, it is a chef's kiss moon. It is trining Jupiter. It's going to have Uranus getting ready to go direct. This is worth taking time to just slow down, pause, and reflect as we're getting ready for that new lunation that's going to be coming in. All right. All right, so with that being said, let me talk to you guys about these rising signs and where this Sun-Pluto conjunction is going to be happening for you. As always, I'm a Western astrologer. That's the astrology that I practice. I am not a Vedic astrologer. People ask me every time. And I'm going to be showing you where the Sun-Pluto conjunction is going to be taking place for the 12 rising signs. Now, I recommend listening to your rising sign because this is going to show you exactly which house the Sun conjunct Pluto is going to be taking place in, and where you're seeing some kind of significant change. You're shining a light on that. You're overcoming fear. And yeah, don't forget to let me know how this plays out for you guys this week. All right, so I'm going to start first with obviously my Aries and my Aries risings. What's up, Aries? You guys are going to be having the Sun-Pluto conjunction taking place in your natal 11th house. All right, so we know that this is the house of friends, of groups, of your goals, of your aspirations, anything in regards to networks. The themes of the Sun-Pluto conjunction are basically changes in your social circles, right? This is about involvement in group activities, maybe some kind of shift when it comes to your goals. I'm predicting that friends might evolve in some way with a focus on those who are aligned with progressive or like humanitarian goals. And my tip for you is network with those who share your same vision for change, right? You want to be around people who you want to become like. You want to align yourself with people who are also not afraid of change, and use group dynamics to enact broader societal shifts. That is your goal. This is about taking your talents, the sun, and you're putting it in a group setting, and you're aligning with people and places and spaces that share your same perspective for the future. All right, we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. What's up, Taurus? What's up to all of the signs, but especially if you're an early degree fixed sign, this is going to be an interesting turning point for you. So Taurus, you are having the Sun-Pluto conjunction in your natal 10th house. Truth be told, pay attention this week, all right? There are eyes on you, Taurus. People can see you, and this can be good or this can be challenging depending on how you play this. I keep joking about how Taurus and Aquarius are kind of like in their villain era, if they so choose to do so. The 10th house is all about your career. This is your public image. This is how people see you. So you're shining bright with the sun in the 10th house. Obviously, the themes of the Sun-Pluto conjunction are career transformation, shifts in your public status, or your reputation. I predict for you, Taurus, major career changes and advancements are definitely the focus this week, especially in fields that involve innovation or any type of social impact, technology, science. And I recommend leveraging this time for career reinvention. Focus on how you can influence through your career for broader
support from other people, or how you can kind of help change the collective, or maybe there's going to be some shift in regards to the groups of people you work with. Now, Pluto rules relationships with others, and this is also a very public kind of connection to your 7th house. And the sun is kind of connected to your family, your home, your roots, your past. So this can mean that you're making a big public announcement about this is what's going on with my relationship or my family or me and my career, or, this is how my private life is becoming kind of brought out into the open. Watch for some power struggles you can have with people at work, but I really feel like this is about you recognizing that you're stepping up to the plate, and it's like, go big or go home. All right, we've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. Excuse me, not yet. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. I'm looking at all that Aquarius. Gemini and Gemini rising. You guys are going to be experiencing the Sun-Pluto conjunction in your natal 9th house. And if you're an early degree Gemini, I think you're liking these transits. I think because it's happening in a fellow air sign, you're going to do well, and you've got some support also with that Libra moon, so you might fare a little bit better than most people. Seeing the Sun conjunct Pluto in the 9th house is highlighting the themes revolving around beliefs, travel, higher education, law, legality, and your philosophy, okay? So the themes here are about transformation of beliefs through travel or education. I predict that you might be drawn to study or travel, something related to technology, astrology, maybe there's a new teacher that comes in, maybe there's this shift revolving around your belief system. And I really recommend opening your mind to new philosophies or cultures this week. I really feel like this is about how education or travel is going to be used as a tool for personal or collective change. Obviously, we know that the sun deals with education. It can also be about writing. It can be about short trips. And that conjunction with Pluto means that maybe you are realizing it's time for me to make time for travel. It's time for me to make time to go back to school. It's time for me to publish that book. Something is coming up where you're recognizing that you're ready to become the teacher, or you're ready to enter into some new form of education. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. You guys will be experiencing the Sun-Pluto conjunction in the sign of Aquarius in your natal 8th house. Well, at least it's going to be in a house where Pluto does well. I will say that. Obviously, this is a sign that in conjuncts or quincunx is used, so you don't really have a lot in common with Aquarius, and the sun is in the 8th house, is in a house where it cannot shine. So I'm predicting for Cancer and Cancer risings, it's going to be a little harder to see these changes, but they will be felt intuitively. If you don't see the shift, you're going to feel the shift. 8th house is about shared resources, intimacy, psychological shifts. It can be about endings and beginnings. It can also be about investments. So the theme with the Sun-Pluto conjunction here is deep psychological transformation and issues that can come up around shared finances or intimacy. I'm predicting intense experiences around these topics. Can be intimacy, can be inheritance, but also the potential for uncovering hidden resources or secrets. Now, the tip here is to explore therapy or deep personal work, handle shared resources with transparency, and embrace vulnerability in your intimate relationships. We know that the sun rules your 2nd house of money and possessions. So it's possible that you're able to tap into something where you're like, wow, I didn't realize I had excess money in this account, or that had made that much money, off of an investment, or that you uncover some kind of truth about your taxes, or maybe about your partner's income, or maybe this is a day where you realize that you have access to funds that you didn't know that you had. So it's very financial for Cancers and Capricorns, so be mindful of that. Watch out for financial scams. That's one thing that I will tell you. This is about security of some of your finances this week. All right, we got Leo and Leo rising. You guys are going to experience the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius in your natal 7th house. Leo, the sun rules your chart. You ready? All right, so with the sun coming into conjunction with Pluto, it is about a powerful encounter that you're going to have with someone. 7th house can be romantic relationships. It can be also open enemies, some kind of challenge. It could represent spouses, clients, business partnerships. 7th house could be a therapist. It can also be an astrologer. So it can be somebody shining a light on something that you need to see. Now, obviously this conjunction in the 7th house is going to be bringing up themes revolving around profound transformation to your one-on-one relationships. And this is also business or personal, so it depends on what you got going on. You are the sun and you're approaching Pluto. So this is about you saying, hey, this doesn't work for me, or this needs to change, or, you know, or where you're feeling super drawn to someone. It's true, relationships this week might undergo significant testing, but they can also evolve into something more profound and equal. My recommendations are to work towards partnerships that are based on equality and mutual transformation, and address any power dynamics that might be kind of coming up for you this week. You know, Pluto obviously deals with your 4th house of home and family. So it could be you're confronting a roommate, you're confronting a partner about leaving dishes in the sink, you're talking to your family about something that has been bothering you for a while, and you're trying to kind of get it out in the air and hash it out. Somebody may respond to this very strongly. That's just the one thing that you want to know, okay? All right, we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You guys will be experiencing the Sun-Pluto conjunction taking place in your natal 6th house. Well, Virgo, this is a house you're familiar with, so I think you'll be able to manage. This is a house that's about health, pets, you know, anything connected to your habits, your daily routine, your office space, and, you know, anything in regards to fixing problems, trying to find solutions. So with the Sun-Pluto conjunction in your 6th house, this is radical shifts in your work environment, your health practices, or your daily routine. I predict overall, you know, you might have like a significant change or overhaul to your job or your health regimen. You may also be focusing on innovative health solutions or workplace dynamics. I recommend looking into like holistic or cutting edge health practices, seeking, you know, to create a work environment that aligns with your values for change and innovation. This can be a transit where you become aware that there are some habits or some tendencies you have either at work with coworkers. It can be also in regards to just your health habits where you're like, oh, I'm my own worst enemy. Like I got to get out of my own way here, you know? And maybe this is about how you're kind of addressing change in the workspace, how you're communicating with people. Pluto deals with your communication. This can also be a time where you're like more aware that you have formed a habit or there's something that you've been doing and you're like, I need to quit. So quit negative thinking, quitting smoking, you know, quitting worrying about things. Like this gives you the opportunity to do that stuff. And just watch out for any health-related matters, and keep an eye on your pets during this time as well with the Sun-Pluto conjunction in the 6th. If there is a health problem or an ailment, the sun is saying that you're going to need to go and get some kind of care or somebody who can kind of help you heal. All right, we've got Libra and Libra rising. What's up, Libra? So you're going to experience the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius in your natal 5th house. And truth be told, I think Libra, Gemini are going to be the ones that are going to kind of cruise through this transit a little bit more than some of the other signs, especially Libra having the moon going through your 1st house, and it's making aspects to this conjunction, and also Jupiter in your 9th. When I put that all together, I think about how the 5th house is about creativity, romance, and children. So the themes here with the Sun conjunct Pluto are some kind of creative rebirth that's happening. There could be intensity going on in your romantic relationships, or a profound impact on or from children. It can be about recognizing that there's something that you need to heal in regards to the inner child, or something where you're reflecting on like a broken heart that can be connected to your relationships. I predict that you're going to experience a surge in creative expression, and I do think that some of you guys will see changes in your romantic partnerships that can actually lead to deeper connection. So this can be about being like hopelessly and gloriously obsessed with someone or something. And I also am kind of seeing some of you guys pouring your energy into creative projects that could change or really influence other people. So be open to, you know, transformative love experiences, but handle them with care. Now know that the sun is connected to your 11th house, and this is about your audience, right? Who you share things with, your friends. This can also be about your goals. So you're really focused on creating something that is going to be really strongly tied to your goals. I think the trine to the moon in the 1st house also, just as a reminder, that's a very fertile transit. You might be, if you're trying to conceive, some Libra and Libra risings may be able to do that with this transit. So be mindful of that. Okay. All right, so we've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Scorpio, you have a visitor. There's somebody visiting you, Scorpio. So you're going to be experiencing the Sun conjunct Pluto in your 4th house of home and family. This is very personal for you because Pluto is one of your ruling planets. The 4th house is the roots, the past, things connected to the mother, things that have to do with the family dynamic. And watching the sun come into conjunction is going to be interesting because there's something that's shifting or going on in your private life or in your home life that is going to have a profound effect in regards to your career. Now, the themes for this are family dynamic transformation, changes, or upheavals in the home life. I'm predicting there may be a significant change in the family structure or living situation, probably involving technology of some kind, or working from home, or revamping or transforming something about your home. And I really recommend working on healing family wounds. Consider maybe alternative living arrangements or technologies to improve your home life, and embrace family as chosen community, right? Aquarius. Now, this is interesting because the moon is going to dip actually into your sign, like I talked about, right around the time of the conjunction. And the moon on your ascendant will make you moody. You're going to feel really sensitive about something, and it's going to go boom. It's going to square the Sun and Pluto. So you're going to go, you know what? I'm finally tackling that issue. And whether it's cleaning out the garage, cleaning the cobwebs out of the corners, going through that closet you're afraid to kind of tackle, confronting a parent about something, talking to a roommate about their bad attitude, whatever, there's something that's going to come up that's going to kind of ruffle your feathers a little bit. And the sun, like I said, is going to be about like authority figures and work or career or father related things. So I predict some Scorpio to Scorpio risings are going to experience some kind of tumultuousness with a father figure. It can be that there is some profound change going on with a male figure in your family this week. Okay, watch for that. All right, we've got Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. You guys are experiencing the Sun conjunct Pluto in your natal 3rd house. For my Saggies, this is all kind of connected to communication, right? Your siblings, your neighbors, your car, gadgets, how you think. So obviously with the Sun-Pluto conjunction in the 3rd, there's going to be deep transformative conversations, changes in local environment or community involvement. I'm predicting that you could become a catalyst for change in your neighborhood or your social circles through powerful communication. But, okay, this is also a transit that can kind of bite you in the ass. You need to be mindful of what's coming out of your mouth, what you're saying. Be mindful, okay? I know you guys all have that big shit-eating grin as I say that, but words can hurt you if you're not careful with this transit, especially legally, all right? I do think that I predict for you guys that, this could be a time where you can use your voice for a good thing, right? You could be an advocate for someone or for something. You can engage in discussions that provoke thought or change. You might write or speak about topics that challenge the status quo. That stuff I'm okay with. I do think that it's interesting that the sun rules your 9th house. Your mind might be on, where am I going? What am I planning? Where am I traveling? And you can become obsessed with the idea of planning a trip, moving, relocating, and also anything in regards to education. So you can be really reading and writing and studying a lot as well. Outside of that, yeah, maybe a little bit of like a crisis can come up with a sibling, right? Maybe you can see that something in your car or your vehicle breaks down, or there's something electrical that's going on. Obviously, touch wood, but that can happen. And Pluto is connected to your subconscious. So this could be about like where you say something and you were thinking it, but you were like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. And then it kind of like sparks up some controversy with somebody who's close to you. So be mindful of your words. And we've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You guys are doing the Sun-Pluto conjunction in your 2nd house of money, resources, self-esteem, values. Very financial for my Capricorn and Cap risings. Obviously, the Sun-Pluto conjunction is bringing about a transformation of values, possibly radical changes in financial status or how you approach money. I'm predicting that this might involve shifts in income sources, particularly through innovative or tech-related ventures. I also would recommend reassessing what you value and invest in things that are sustainable or innovative financial opportunities. Be open to non-traditional ways of earning. Now, the Sun conjunct Pluto is highlighting your natal 8th house, which is about money owed, joint resources, or investments. And Pluto is going to be about power, right? Your future goals when it comes to your finances. I think a lot of Capricorn and Capricorn risings are going to get involved in cryptocurrency. I'm obviously not a financial advisor. I'm just your astro weather girl, but I can tell you that I do think that some of you guys are going to start thinking about the future of your finances, and there's going to be a profound shift in regards to what you're doing with your money, what you value, what you're buying, and what you're holding on to. And that's a part of a storyline that's connected to Mars retrograde through your 8th house. So I think that you're ready for this change in your financial future. I do think that you are just really open to kind of getting outside of the box and doing something different. This is also about overcoming your need to feel like you need to have more or that you need to consume everything. This is about taking your time. Saturn is the dispositor here. Saturn's conjunct Venus. So there is like a sense of you taking a much more cautious approach, and you're not just going to kind of do everything at one time and throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you are going to start talking about some of your approaches to how you're going to be doing things differently with your finances. All right, so we've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. How you guys doing? How you feeling? Yeah, I think for some of you guys, this is the day that you finally confront something. That's really what I think. Obviously, Sun conjunct Pluto in the 1st house, you're going to hear things like, oh, this is, you going through a profound change or a breakthrough or a crisis. Sure. But the truth is that the personal transformation and the reinvention of yourself or the way that you react to something is strongly tied to the fact that the Sun is the 7th house lord. So your relationship to yourself, it's changing. The way that you talk to yourself and the way that you portray yourself, it's changing. Pluto is connected to your career and the Sun is relationships. So it's like you're about ready to tell everybody in regards to work, in regards to partnerships, this is how I've changed and this is how it's going to change our dynamic. Right? And it can sometimes seem very abrupt with the conjunction. I predict that you might undergo a significant change in how you look or present yourself to the world. You might be kind of adopting a more unconventional persona. I really feel like this is about you because it's in your 1st house. This is about embracing and redefining yourself. Some of you guys might experiment with new styles or attitudes or align with your true self. And I think you're going to be bold in your self-expression. I wonder how many of you guys are going to enter into your kind of like, I don't know, kind of like future punk, era. I think we're going to see some of you guys kind of walking around like you're in the Matrix or doing something that's a little bit more modern. But the longer term effects of this transit is the relationship with myself is changing. Therefore, my identity in the world changes, my career changes, my relationships change. And when I think about how we have seen Mars in opposition to this recently, and we're going to see it again, that's going to be happening in April, it's about where your relationships lie with people. And whether this is a spouse or a romantic partner, one of your kids, because you're putting your foot down going like, okay, this is the change that's been made, whether or not you're going to hold on to some of these relationships, and also not letting other people get your goat. Mars went retrograde back into your 6th house of health and habits. So you're really committed right now to going, I'm making a big change with my relationship to my body. I'm committed to this, and I'm not going to let some kind of tension with other people impact my health or my wellness. Let me know how it goes, Aquarius. I want to hear from you guys. We got our Pisces and Pisces risings who will be enjoying this intense conjunction in their 12th house. So I think you guys are going to navigate this a little bit better. I think the Pisces risings are going to be the ones that are just kind of sitting around drinking their coffee or tea, like kind of just watching the world on fire. And they're like, wow, people are nuts. You guys are really staying in your own lane with this conjunction in your 12th house and Saturn in your 1st. You're like, yeah, I'm just staying out of the way. So the 12th house is about, obviously, spirituality. This is your subconscious. This is behind the scenes. This is also endings. This is a house of completion. So when we see the conjunction happening in the 12th house, planets are coming 12th house to either your sun or your rising. So this is like that natural conclusion, completion period of time right before your birthday. Use this time for deep spiritual transformation. Endings can lead to beginnings. And this is also about confrontations with the subconscious. Unusual dreams, sometimes nightmares, obviously touch wood. And it can be a period of inner work that might lead to a new spiritual awakening and closure of old cycles. Now, I recommend engaging in practices like meditation or dream work and embracing solitude as a space for transformation and also addressing any hidden fears or issues. therapy, hypnosis, meditation, all of these things can really help you here. Obviously, the sun is going to be about health and habits. And so you're realizing where your mental health, your subconscious plays a role in your physical health and habits. Mars has been retrograding through that part of your chart. So some of you guys have been healing something or taking more time to kind of just rest and recuperate. And the sun is directly connected also to your work. So some of you guys might be saying, well, there's a change at work coming, or where I'm working or how I'm working. Pluto is more connected to your belief system or higher education. So some of you guys just might get lost in your favorite sci-fi, shows and movies. Some of you guys just might be feeling like, you know what, I'm just really kind of needing to retreat for a little bit, or you're going to be doing some studying or maybe even some traveling. Just watch for those things that might kind of like pop out through your subconscious that's coming up for you to kind of deal with throughout this transit. All right, guys, well, that's all for me this week. I'm obviously wishing you a lot of support and a lot of strength as we kind of go throughout some of the challenges this week. I definitely feel like as we come out the other side, things are definitely going to be a little bit more clear in terms of what Pluto has in store for us in Aquarius. But let me know what happens. You guys can come back to this video and leave me a comment. I love to hear from you guys. I always get a good laugh out of seeing how things, play out over the week. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and consider sharing. And if you guys want to see more about me, and if you want to book a personal reading with me, check out my links below at beyondtheveiltarot.com. I'm taking clients now in April and May of 2025. So if you know that you have a birthday coming up and you want a reading, a natal chart reading or a transit reading, synastry, or if you want help picking a perfect date for an event, I'm your girl. You guys can see all of my scheduling there. I'm available. I'm also here on Fridays, usually around 6:00 p.m. Central Time. We alternate every other week and do either tarot or astrology. This week, we're going to be doing astrology readings, and we're going to talk all about the new moon in Aquarius, and it's amazing. So if you want to see what it has in store for you, join me on Friday for a reading. I'll post the link in the community tab just before that, and you guys can get in line and you can save your spot. I also put out a video on the new moon in Aquarius, so you guys should check that out if you want to see what it has in store. This week, I'm going to be putting out my horoscopes for February. That should be coming out on Thursday. So if you guys are ready to see what February has in store, stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed. And if you guys would like to learn astrology with me, I teach astrology. Check out my courses on my website. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter. All right, until next time, I'll see all of you guys very soon. Face your fears, overcome all that stuff, and let's make friends with Pluto this week. I think he's going to help us quite a bit in the future. All right, with that being said, I'll see you all soon. Take care.